Near-death experience is gaining recognition in the world even though there is no scientific and medical term to explain the occurrence. Many near-death experience people sharing their journey and return with a good understanding of life, and even some sickness got healed which puzzled the doctor. The following is a well-known near-death experience journey share by Anita Moorjani. In 2006, after a 4-year battle with cancer, I fell into a coma and was given hours to live. As my doctors gathered to revive me, I journeyed into a near-death experience, NDE. The world around me started to appear surreal and dreamlike. And I could feel myself slip further and further from consciousness. In this near-death state, I was more acutely aware of all that was going on around me than I'd ever been in a normal physical state. I wasn't using my 5 biological senses. Yet I was keenly taking everything in. It was as though another, completely different type of perception kicked in. And I seemed to encompass everything that was happening, as though I was slowly merging with it all. I felt no emotional attachment to my seemingly lifeless body, as it lay there on the hospital bed. It didn't feel as though it were mine. It looked far too small and insignificant to have housed what I was experiencing. I felt free, liberated, and magnificent. Every pain, ache, sadness, and sorrow was gone. I felt completely unencumbered. I couldn't recall feeling this way before, not ever. I continued to sense myself expanding farther and farther outward, drawing away from my physical surroundings. It was as though I were no longer restricted by the confines of space and time, and I continued to spread myself out to occupy a greater expanse of consciousness. I simultaneously experienced a sense of joy, mixed with a generous sprinkling of jubilation and happiness. I felt all my emotional attachments to my loved ones and my surroundings slowly fall away. What I can only describe as superb and glorious unconditional love surrounded me, wrapping me tight as I continued to let go. It didn't feel as though I had physically gone somewhere else. It was more as though I'd awakened, perhaps finally being roused from a bad dream. My soul was finally realizing its true magnificence. And in doing so, it was expanding beyond my body and this physical world. The feeling of complete, unconditional love was unlike anything I'd known before. It was totally undiscriminating, as if I didn't have to do anything to deserve it, nor did I need to prove myself to earn it. To my amazement, I became aware of the presence of my father, who died 10 years earlier. "Dad, you're here. I can't believe it." I wasn't speaking those words, I was merely thinking them. In fact, it was more like feeling the emotions behind the words. I was merely thinking them. In fact, it was more like feeling the emotions behind the words. As there was no other way of communicating in that realm other than through emotions. I also recognized the essence of my best friend, Sony, who died of cancer 3 years prior. I seemed to know that they'd both been present with me, long before I became aware of them. All through my illness, I was aware of other beings around me. I didn't recognize them, but I knew they loved me very much and were protecting me, surrounding me with love, even when I wasn't conscious of it. My heightened awareness and feelings of unconditional love in that expanded realm were indescribable. Despite my best efforts to explain them, the universe makes sense. I realized. I finally understand. I know why I have cancer. I also seem to comprehend why I'd come into this life in the first place. I knew my true purpose. That stunning revelation hit me like a bolt of lightning. I understood that merely by being who I truly am, I would heal both myself and others. I knew that was really the only purpose of life, to be ourselves, live our truths, and be the love that we are. As though to confirm my realization, I became aware of both my father and Sony communicating with me. Now that you know the truth of who you really are, go back and live your life fearlessly. It was the afternoon of February 3rd. About 30 hours after I'd entered the coma. My eyes started to flicker open around 4 p.m., and my vision was very blurred. I could barely see that the outline of the figure standing over me was Danny. And then I heard his voice. "She's back." Once I regained consciousness, my cancer began to heal rapidly. To the amazement of my doctors, I was free of countless tumors and cancer indicators within weeks. Since then, I've heeded the call to share this powerful story, and divine lesson, with the world. Love yourself fully. That's what you're here to do. When you choose to live from a place of love, you're free to be yourself, to connect with your desires, and to take action from a place of empowerment. When you choose to live from a place of fear, you're always trying to fit in, denying who you really are to satisfy the expectations of others. The latter not only deprives you of tremendous joy, but it also deprives the world of the real you. The you that is unique, gifted, and a pure facet of the universe. A lack of self-love causes many of our problems. From bullying and health issues to war and crime, we must remember that love, a heavenly feeling of peace, joy, and wonder, is available to us right now, no matter what our circumstance. I was a tough nut to crack. I had to die to experience those feelings. Up until my NDE, I'd lived my entire life in fear of disappointing others. And I believed there was something wrong with me in the moments I failed to meet their wishes. I battled with the part of myself that wanted to do things differently and carve my own path. Why do I suddenly understand all this? I wanted to know, who's giving me this information? Is it God? Krishna? Buddha? Jesus? And then I was overwhelmed by the realization that God isn't a being, but a state of being, and I was now in that state of being.